This is Awkward Minaj. I am Shushu LaRue, aka Shuella DeVille. And this evening we have our special guest, Damu. Damu, is there anything else you would like the people to know about you this evening, sir?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's nighttime. I'm a teacher in Cleveland. I'm a history and sociology major at Case Western Reserve University. And I'm part of Teach for America right now. I've also been working with some groups about reparations, and yeah, that's about it.
Beautiful. Thank you. And our topic of conversation tonight, well, one of them will be education. I can rightfully say for myself, I'm tired of being a teacher during COVID-19, hybrid, virtual, or fucking otherwise, because it's stressful. Students are not doing the work. Parents are not making their students be accountable, nor are the parents accountable. The administration is messed up. No one is telling the truth about what's really going on. It's a lot. And I'm losing motivation and hope, just to be honest. Damu, what are your thoughts about our current predicament as teachers during the pandemic?
As teachers, we got it bad. Why? Because there are just so many unknowns that we can't possibly prepare for. And there are so many deficiencies in our education system already. So when COVID hits and it has students at home in conditions that aren't conducive to learning, how are you supposed to teach a kid to appeal to the state standards that the state wants you to do? How do you teach a kid to the standards that the administration wants you to have or that the superintendent wants you to have? It's almost impossible. So we all have these heightened expectations. When they aren't met, they blame the teachers, they blame the kids, they blame the parents instead of the system itself, and rearranging the system itself to be able to be more conducive to different type of educational models, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that you said that too. They don't change the system. I had to jump in there on that one because that is the number one problem right there, the way the goddamn system is set up.
Exactly. It's all about the system. Like, for instance, I'm teaching 5th and 6th grade math at a charter school here in Cleveland. And for my 5th graders, I teach a specific type of curriculum that's called Bridges. My 6th graders, I teach a specific curriculum called Pearson. And when I looked at the two books, the last 2 chapters of my Bridges material, which is for my 5th graders, is already in the Pearson book. So I'm gonna end up teaching the kids the same exact thing both years instead of building on the knowledge that they learned from 5th grade. So that means that that the administration was purchasing the books and assigning the curriculum didn't even look into that. They just assigning different curriculums and not being consistent with one educational model or system for my kids. So that's another example of administration just doing weird stuff that I don't understand at all. And the kids are going to pay for it.
True story. Exactly. True story. They got us teaching, I'm teaching social studies and critical thinking and reading, because that's how low our reading scores are on the national test in our school, that we have to have extra critical thinking classes for our students. So some of them have 2 math classes and 2 reading classes, which means they do not have any electives. So no art, no band, no gym, nothing like that. They just have straight academics all day because they have to get to the level. Teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th, our students are operating mainly at like a 3rd grade level. That's the average. So they in the 8th grade, but they at a 3rd grade level in both reading and math. And those are our standards. So you're absolutely right about that, Damu, because right now they have us piloting the book. So even though I'm a 6th grade social studies teacher and the other teacher has 6th grade social studies, we're teaching from 2 different books. But we are supposed to be on the same Atlas timeline. Like odd. It's odd to me. I don't get it.
Exactly, and that's the problem. But also, I want to ask a question: why do you think that so many of our students and so many of our kids, primarily in like African American areas, poor, disenfranchised African American areas, are kids performing so low? You think it's just the school? Do you
I
think it's-
no, uh, I think it's a multitude of things, but the biggest thing I
That's the
see myself
exact
as
phrase I
a
was gonna use.
mother is, like you said, the way the system is set up. So now we have No Child Left Behind Act. So even if your child is behind and they need help, and no matter how much you beg and plead for the school to help, for them to hold your child back, give them summer school, whatever they need to do to get your child caught up, they just pass them along. So that's why you have instances where you have someone who's in the eighth, ninth grade, but they're only at a second or a third grade reading level, because a lot of these schools and a lot of these schools administration, they don't care for them. Butts in seat means money in the bank, period.
Yep. The most important days during the entire school calendar are count days because that determines how much money the school in particular gets and the district as a whole.
And you know what? Those are usually
And
the days I
we
keep
have
my kids
been,
home too. Oh, so every other day
yep,
they showed up doesn't mean as much as this one day? Nah, they ain't coming.
nope. Oh, I mean, it means as much if you don't want the truancy officer on you. And that's another thing too. Like now people who never had truancy cases and such are having truancy cases due to this virtual learning because they not getting it. They're like one woman has 7 children starting in first grade. So first grade on up. Almost one in every grade, 7 kids. And they all supposed to be at home on the computer. It's straining the internet in that area. It's super loud. If they don't have headphones, me as a teacher, if I'm talking to him, I can hear the other teachers teaching their lessons. So a lot of my students have to stay on mute because they don't even have headphones, or it's trap music banging in the background, or somebody fighting and arguing, or it's just so many people that most of them keep their cameras off because I guess the teacher don't need to be seeing what's going on where they at. And that's the sad part because school was a refuge for too many of our students. And now they are left in the homes around the people who terrorize them. So they don't have no getaway now. And that's a problem. And it's a problem for me personally.
You're exactly right. I remember I was in a one-on-one session with one of my lowest performing students, and I already know she can perform better than what she was performing in my class. And during that one-on-one, she had her headphones in, but one of her little sisters came in and just started play fighting with her, but hard play fighting, like really trying to fight with her. And I'm just like, I can't even say anything because I'm still on the headphones. The little girl can't hear me telling her to stop and let me help your sister. I have to literally just sit there and watch this little girl trying to fight her big sister. And it's like, how is this girl going to learn anything about math or be going to be able to focus on anything that I'm trying to talk about? And she has 3 little siblings and they trying to fight all day or play around all day. It's impossible.
Yeah. And then you have the ones who have to leave your class because they got to go help their brother or sister sign into the computer. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, if everything is shut down and we're supposed to be in quarantine and we're not doing this and that, where are the adults that are supposed to be sitting here with y'all and helping y'all? Because as far
And
as
that's
I
what I was
know,
about to
the
start
elementary
talking
school
about.
students, they supposed to have an adult with them at all time the whole school day. So I don't get it. And like
Yeah,
I said, it's starting to piss me off.
my I was gonna say it's definitely up to us as parents as well. I can understand because I was there. My daughter had to sign in for her class, but also had to help my son get signed in. But I have to be at work at 8 a.m. My kid doesn't start school until 9 a.m. And if I'm supposed to be on the phone, can't take no breaks, can't do this, can't do that, because that's taking away money from my paycheck to pay my bills. Like, what exactly do you do? And I think people, a lot of parents, they know their kids are struggling at home. They're not making it, and they're not able to do what they need to do for their child at home. So it becomes, when does what you want or what you need as a parent, when do you put that on the back burner and start to think about your kids? Yes, COVID is out there, but what do you need to teach your child so you can send them back to school so they don't fall behind, so they can keep up? It's somebody got to figure out something. I don't have a job anymore. I stay home with my 12-year-old. He's at home school. My 7-year-old, he goes back to school because trying to homeschool him was just, it was too much. So now he's back in school. My daughter, I homeschool 100% now. No school curriculum, all me, plus a toddler. Like, it's a lot. So us as parents, we really do need to sit back and think about what it is that we need to do and be realistic with ourselves. We're not fucking superhumans. We can't do everything, and it's okay to admit you can't do everything and move accordingly.
Yeah, and some parents, I see a kid come to my class every day and they're in the car. And I'm just like, how are you gonna learn math in the car? You don't have access to a notebook, a pencil, a paper. You can't do the assignments. All you can do is just sit there and watch and hope that you remember by the time you get back home. Some parents, they can't even, especially with math, because a lot of the math has changed, can't even help the kids with their math, especially even in the 5th or 6th grade. I have a mother, she can't help my sister at all. I'm talking to my mother about, or my little sister's doing number lines. And so she's doing the numbers between 0 and 1 on the number line. So I'm like, all right, the best way to do it so you can see the numbers is, what's the number exactly between 0 and 1? What number is exactly in the middle? And my sister can answer it. And then my mom is like, you can't answer that? You really can't answer that? I'm like, all right, mama, what your answer is? And she say 8/10. And I'm like, 8/10?
Huh? It's 0.5.
Exactly. So I'm looking at my mom and I'm like, you the one that's been helping her? No, you need to stop. You need to stop. No wonder why she, no wonder why it's not doing
Exactly. Look, just Zoom her. Just get her on a Zoom call, Damu. Help your sister with her work. Because one thing that I would say, is that two things were exposed by the pandemic. Parents were exposed to the fact that their children cannot read or do math. And children were exposed to the fact that their parents cannot read or do math. And when we say by reading, we talking grammar, syntax, and comprehension.
Right.
If you don't have all three of these things together, your ass can't read.
Right.
It is what it is. We need to stop playing with people. Stop being all nice, rubbing them on the back. Fuck that. We dying. Our children don't know anything. Where do they have to go? Because if they do machines up at McDonald's, you're fucked.
I think we need to do more in the way of teaching our children at home. Having it start there. And then school just being what it's supposed to be, an extension of the things that we learn at home.
Always
I
tell
don't
my
think
kids.
the school is not supposed to take the place of the parent at all.
No.
It makes me sick when I see memes like, bring back home economics. How are our children supposed to learn these basics? If it's called home economics, why don't you teach it at home?
It's called clean up. That part, start there.
Learn how to cook. Come on now. Home ec.
Shame.
It's crazy.
Kids know every fucking flavor of piece of that goddamn Little Caesars and the whole McDonald's menu, Happy's everywhere, all of this shit. And y'all at the crib?
Just chilling.
You got them at home right now. Now is the perfect time to teach them home economics. And add that in.
Yep.
They don't have any electives anyway because they have to do all of their core subjects all day.
In the same classroom.
So
Even my
yeah,
son, he's
make
at
it
school.
fun.
Stay in the same classroom, and the teachers come in and out, and they just sit there in a chair all day. And
For real?
yep. That's how my
That's
they go to
crazy.
a charter school. That's how it is with them.
Yeah, hey, exactly the same thing. And one of my kids, he was there by himself because he was a SPED kid.
Mhm.
And he was
Aw.
he was like, I fell asleep, Mr. C, 3 times. I can't even lie to you. And I'm like, man, you is on there all by yourself. I apologize. Hopefully next week when more kids are there, it'll be a little bit more fun. But how am I supposed to keep
One kid.
kids entertained
Yeah.
for 8 hours a day in one room?
Mhm.
And they can't touch each other. They can't touch anything really. So I don't know. I don't know. And Sister Nabor, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
With your point about the home thing, I completely agree. But I think the reason why a lot of that is not being done at home is because of like a larger issue with our community, which is communication.
Yeah.
The wantiness and ability
Lacking
to
in that.
communicate.
Big time. Very much so. I would agree. Well, let's if you guys
Yeah,
don't
they just
mind.
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say let's take a break. I got this track I wanted to play.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll
Which
play
one is this
track.
one?
This is I Am M, No Peace. I have been on a personal mission to like find and play as many female MCs as I can.
Okay.
We had one episode kind of led into it a little bit, so that's been my mission.
Well, I want to say this really quick before you play the track, if I may.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Damu actually does his music thing, so he has a nice ear. He should be able to give us an excellent critique, right, sir?
Oh, nice.
Oh, I will try to do my best, but I am no expert.
So I don't think
None of us
anybody
know
is
experts.
really.
Okay,
We
so
just
myself,
say
I'm
whether we like the shit or not.
All right, let's see if I can
Drop it in the play.
I Am M. I hope you guys like it. Let's see.
Me too.
Break it down eugenics, so you better listen up. No time for masquerades, we just keep it clean cut. All the world is a jail, you just trying to learn yourself. Playing nice with your cellmates, navigating hell. You've been living on the edge of retribution. Drumming up a plan to establish the solution. Strung out on the media, full of grand illusions. Heady full of old world mental resolution. You're bothering the body, they hobby focusing on ya. Be shaping your vision, division, television views. Yeah, this ain't a debate, now they want a civil war. Call it revolution and sell it to the poor. Indigenous indenture, descendants of the slaves. The innocence of children, meeting early graves. Yeah, they trying to press rewind on the times when us losing our minds. They out of line, everything we do sublime. Yeah, I'm saying they know. They know it's true. The change lies in you. Breaking rules to this game, getting changing. Cracking codes in this dark simulation. Double my salary, body look like a gallery. Stacking paper on paper until we make an indent. I'm cutting the allergies, I'm increasing the calories. No more cooking with Valerie, I'ma double my weight. I'm coming from the system. All my people gotta listen. You listen, go and get the early access. You purchase with attention. Healing our community, extending opportunities. There's power in our unity when we align our sight. Policing our communities, we flash up on our rights. Recognize your enemy, internalize the word. We speaking in the background, quietly unheard. Young blood, you a warrior, never hear a slur. You not here to pillar fight, go and get what you deserve. You a king, you a queen, redirect what you heard. Make it play what you coming for, lines never blur. Yeah, I'm saying they know. We know it's true. The change lies in you. Got a riot in your heart and a fist full of pain. Make it rain, we gon' never let them weaponize your name. Never let them weaponize your name. Breaking rules to this game, getting chained. Cracking code to this dark simulation.
All right, I am M, no peace. And I won't lie, I kind of spazzed out there for a little bit all in my phone. So you guys tell me, what you think?
I fuss with it.
Yeah,
I
this
like
should
the
maybe think
message.
about higher learning.
Exactly. Yep. I could definitely see it in a movie. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
a soundtrack type of song.
it definitely is a soundtrack type of song. It's not something that I would put in my playlist just to like listen to over and over again on repeat, but having it to the background of some type of visual would definitely be dope.
Indeed.
Yeah, I agree.
What say you, David?
Yeah. It was nice though. How y'all doing though out there?
Hello, CPT,
Well, how you
man.
doing?
We need like a sound bite for you. So every time you
Deep
come in
boy.
late, they be like, CPT, man. Yeah, I gotta find it.
Ah, shit. I don't know. You think that's appropriate or more like fashionably late? How about that?
Nah, I like CPT, man, better. Just, I don't
Uh,
know, rolls off the tongue. for
Yeah,
me.
that sounds like some CPT man. It's like homage to In Living Color or some
You
shit
know
like
what?
that.
Somebody needs to do like a whole little YouTube series and do CPT, man. He a superhero to come save the day, but then nigga always late, so no one ever gets saved. That's gonna be your likeness right there.
Yeah, and he have a different excuse every time why he was like,
oh yeah, this is a good one too, but we ain't about to flood the airwaves with all of that shit for real.
I want to talk. Look, you already know me. It's reparations over everything over here. That's my main conversation. But we ain't talking about that right now. But we can in a minute.
Chill, why
He's talking.
not?
We need to.
We was talking about our
The
fucked up
HR 40
education system. I feel
fiasco.
like that's one of the things we need reparations on. Build our own schools. You know
Hello?
what I'm saying?
Do you okay? Did I tell y'all the schools that I work in have the fountain in the bathroom for the students to wash their hands? They still got the one that you push with your foot at the bottom and the water trickle out like that.
Wow.
Exactly.
As long as they changing the filters and passing the code, you know how it go.
At least it's
Are
hands
they?
free.
Oh yeah, no.
Right? Set up already.
But guess what else hands free? The ones that you just stick your hand under like at the mall.
Exactly.
They got them in the other schools. Well, we already know where those schools are.
In the
Right.
suburbs.
Exactly. Not where I live, not where I work.
Can we
So
talk
it is
about, has
important to
anyone
me.
else, or am I the only one as educators on the line? Have you gotten I don't know if you've ever worked at a charter school, but has anyone ever seen a
Nope.
difference between charter education and public school education?
Charters can do a lot more what they want to do.
Charter's trash.
I mean, I work at a charter school right now.
So like
Oh,
as far
okay.
as the curriculum, like how do you compare that to a public school?
They not regulated like public schools are.
Right. So like he
Yeah.
said, they can do a lot
They can
more
teach
of
whatever,
what
however
people
they
do.
want.
Like
But yeah,
my kid's first charter school was in Detroit, Nataki Taliba Schoolhouse, and it was an African immersion school. Every morning you got to school, you had to meditate. They talked about the African culture. It's kind of sad to see that they have closed. And even now, my daughter was going to public school and just had problem after problem. The teacher could even somehow, she's a special ed student, and somehow the teacher could justify, and the school was justifying the teacher not logging in and not teaching my child. Like, how does that even work? And then my boys, they all go to a charter school, and it's like completely different. We can pick and choose if they want to go to school or not, what days they want to go. If some days they want to go to school, some days they don't. They don't have to. But public school, they didn't give us a choice. I don't care about COVID. I don't care if somebody from the school died. I don't care if we have a positive case every few days. Your child has to come to school. So I feel like charter schools, they're just, it's like a little bit easier to deal with. They don't have as many rules. They don't have as many eyes on you and pointing the finger. They're more welcoming. And I find that they're more willing to work with you as a parent versus when my children.
Charter schools kind of got that, like how the church got that one policy, come as you are. I'm saying they got that kind of shit going on, basically, right?
For the most part, but you still can't just come as you are, because my boys could have told me, hey, we get the records from their school and we find out they had so many discipline problems, they're out. It's a wrap. But everything else has just been great. Like, I don't even know why I even bother with public school. And it's sad, but that's just the way I feel. I would never send my kids back to another public school ever.
Yeah. Have y'all touched on homeschooling?
not yet. You talking about talked on it this evening? Nope.
Okay, cool. Because I wanted to discuss that since we're on education. Like, what's stopping a lot of people from homeschooling, seeing how that's basically what's going on right now, you know, like with children doing it from the virtual aspect. So what's the like kind of stop or, you know, like hinder a parent from just saying, fuck it, I'd rather just, you know, educate my child myself based off of a curriculum I feel like is appropriate for their grade level? Like, what's stopping the wave of that from happening, you know?
I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier about how a lot of parents are not equipped to teach their children. So if you're a parent and you want to teach your kid, please just make sure that you inform, know what you're doing, and are taking looking at some type of pedagogy, how to execute it, and just filling your brain with as much information to properly teach your child, because you don't want to be the problem with your child's education. So you can do it, but you just have to make sure that you stay learned up on everything that a teacher has to do.
I'm sure
Yeah.
TikTok got a video showing parents how to do that shit on a quick, you
Please
know.
don't go to TikTok and try to learn anything about homeschooling your kids. I would say the biggest thing too is because it's a lot of parents who are well equipped to teach their children at home. But what you said just goes back to like I said before, be realistic with yourself. But if you're realistic, you know, and you can honestly say you want to do it. But a lot of people, I feel like the biggest thing is fear. When I tried to, for the first time, teach my kids at home, it was a lot of, oh, you can't do this, and oh, you got to do X, Y, and Z, and register with the state here and do this. And you don't have to do any of those things. You don't have to register with the state. You don't have to do a K-12 program. You can completely build your own curriculum. But like Damu said, definitely do your research. Find out how you can help your child the best, how you can learn their grade level, what resources you have out there. D4, I think I even told you before, even with homeschooling, there are different groups that you can get involved with as well. Um, biggest one is the library, YMCA, but they have groups for homeschooling. So if you're a parent, you homeschool your kids, come to the library on these days during the week. We'll have reading time. Your kids can have social time with other homeschool children. You guys can network. And then once you build your network, once you find your group, your alcove of people for homeschooling, then you can kind of look at the group and say, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. Even in the home, I'm terrible at math, but I'm great at grammar. I'm great with reading. So I do all the reading and grammar. My dude handles all the math. So you can build yourself a network, build a group and say, okay, Susie's parents are great with math. I'm good with science. So and so is good with whatever. And then you can pick and choose what days what parent is going to handle which subject. But it all begins with having that solid support system and knowing exactly what you're doing and what you need to do.
I can agree with that. I mean, you think about it like how a child goes to school and they go from teacher to teacher. So yeah, it's about going with who's going to be able to educate them the best. And I mean, at this point, I'm willing to bet, let like Jay-Z and Beyonce start homeschooling their children. It's going to take off. Watch. I'm saying that to say like we will follow the trend. You know what I'm saying? Like once it become a thing that's
No, it's
cool to
already a
do.
thing. It's already a thing. We already set in the trend. NPR, I think it was like 2015 or 16. I was listening to Michigan Public Radio and they had a whole expose about how African Americans are the leaders in homeschooling now, and more African American families are pulling their children out of school to teach them themselves and create their own curricula that they feel is best for their child. So we are the leaders in it. We just need to make it the norm, I would say.
That's dope. It's real dope. All right, so then as far as the virtual schooling itself, like how effective is that? Like considering it's so easy for a child to manipulate, you know, all of the advantages of their technological devices and shit. I'm hearing that there are different ways you can even go about you know, cheating or whatever, even while you right there live during class. What's y'all take on that?
No, in my class, I just graded some assignments and I got kids. I asked them, what is a ratio? I literally put in the assignment what a ratio is, give them the definition, tell them all the time, use my definitions. Don't use the internet because the internet gonna have you messed up. I even have a section in my Google Classroom that says helpful vocabulary for this unit. Has all the vocabulary lists there. All they have to literally do is copy and paste. They still go to the internet and give me an answer that has the quantitative relationship between two. And I'm just like, now you know, you are a 12-year-old. You don't know what quantitative means. What are you doing? And I keep telling them this over and over. And they just don't get it. But there has been something with some kids' test scores when they do like their standardized test. Some kids' scores are just super high and you wouldn't expect it. And you're like, was there a parent there that was helping them out with this or not? And we don't know. So that has been something. But again, it's hard to cheat, especially for younger kids, because we can tell a mile away because we know the game. We know the game.
Do you guys have, I know with my kids' school, they have their Chromebooks and it's like the teacher can see everything that they do. So if you think you're going to navigate and go to YouTube or Netflix, the teacher is going to see that and then they shut that down.
Yep.
Do you guys have the same thing?
Go Guardian, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I don't think we have, okay, well, my district ain't paying for nothing like that. I could just tell by I do something like, if I call your name more than 3 times and you do not respond, if I ask you a question, you do not respond, I'm kicking you out of my class. You're not here. You're not even at the computer. What's the point?
What if they went to the bathroom?
Then put it in the chat that you're going to the bathroom. You need to raise your hand and ask, can you go to the bathroom? This is school. You don't just get up and walk out in the middle of class.
You make your kids ask you to go to the bathroom before you leave online?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I don't
This
do
is
that.
school.
Man,
If you're not present,
I make my kid
then your
ask
grades gonna
the
reflect it.
teacher. I do. Go tell your teacher. Go
Nothing.
ask the teacher.
Thank you.
What are you supposed to be doing? I'm not the teacher. You got a teacher over there. Go ask them.
Cause then you come back in the middle talking about what happened. You start talking in the middle of me talking. No, Miss
No,
Walker
that's
has
not.
ADHD. I need to focus.
That's why I record the meetings and it's going up into the Google Classroom. If you have
We not
questions,
allowed to.
y'all can record y'all meetings.
No,
Wow. Wow. This is
because
mandatory.
everyone does not sign a media release form, so you can't record the students. You have to have their parents' permission. That's illegal.
You
And we
can,
learned something new tonight.
Yeah, that's why they don't record out here. Got to some BS with one of the schools about what happened
Yep.
on the Zoom call. And I'm like, okay, well, pull the recording. Oh, there is no recording. So why are you talking to me? What's this conversation about? Come on now. Yeah. They
Mhm. So as far as we concerned, because I guess we asked like staff meetings and stuff, of course we can record those, but because it's the children and they have to sign media release forms. So I even had students who are not allowed to go to like school dances, assemblies, and things like that because they take photos. So the students who don't have a media release form are not allowed to go. So their parents typically keep them at home on those days.
wow.
Yep.
Yep. So I have a question for you guys. If things were to remain the way they are now, I read articles, COVID's going to be gone by April, but y'all niggas said that shit last year. So if we find ourselves in this same predicament the next school year, are there any things you guys want to see changed? See anything you guys want to see done differently the next time around?
Yes, if we're going to teach virtually, I don't think they need to decide whether we're going to teach virtually in the classroom or virtually at home. Like, just make a decision and stick with that the whole year. I don't think hybrid is a good idea.
It's not.
I think teachers can report to work into the school in the classroom if that's more, for me it's more efficient to teach from my classroom. But the students being in there, nope, because they let more and more students come, and we can only social distance the desks by 5 feet due to the size of the classrooms and the amount of desks and space. So I already have like 8 students who reported, and they steady letting people come in. So I don't know who believes that children cannot catch and carry COVID-19. That's a lie from the pits of hell. And it's 3 different types of COVID now.
It's the same people
This
that
shit ugly as fuck. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I feel like if anything, let it be. It's like half and half, kind of like the shit the board was talking about earlier with the charter school. Let half a class come in on this day, the other half come in on that day. This way, they still getting that exposure, getting out of the house, having that atmosphere of school, and I think it might be a little bit more harmonious.
Yeah, they
They're
doing that.
doing that now,
Yeah, they're doing
but they not social distancing. You can't keep children from touching each other and doing
And
little
I
stuff
think
that they do.
depends on the school and where you are, because my kid he goes to school, it's 8 kids in his classroom. 8 kids in a classroom of 20. So it's literally like a desk in every corner and then a few in the middle. So it's a little bit easier. It just, unfortunately, if you live in a suburban area, your children have better opportunities, they have better education. But if you're in the hood, then you kind of got to get what you get. That's the way they treat us.
And in some of these suburbs, they have so much staffing or the adequate amount of staff to be able to say, okay, you teachers are uncomfortable with coming inside the building. So we have a teacher that can teach the hybrid kids, the in-person kids, and teachers that can teach the online kids. So they don't have to go back and forth. And I think that's where our problems are coming in as educators trying to teach both in-person kids at the same time as teaching online kids. It's almost impossible to do. It's hard to do, especially in my school, because I have 5th and 6th graders in my homeroom. So I have half of my class listening and learning math, and then the other half is listening and learning ELA. So it's a whole jumbo mess in terms of volume and everything like that. So if a kid forgets his headphones, it's over with.
That sounds nightmarish. Like, I teaching all 3 grades is already a nightmare for me. So it's 3 grades, 2 different subjects. And 2 of my 5 classes are special ed classes. Nightmare.
Wow.
Wow.
What happened to the days where, you know, you got one teacher, one class, one subject? Like, that's all you focused on. That's all you taught was that one grade and that one subject.
They're not paying for more teachers.
Nope. And
So-
a lot of people are not signing, and they're not going to school to become teachers. No one is going into the profession. Just like the numbers to joining the police academy are down. Make it make sense. Because it don't right now. Especially if they got enslaved Africans and enslaved Americans in textbooks talking about they were migrant workers.
Right.
The lies they tell and the secrets they keep.
They try to tell, they try to keep. That should always get out. It always.
Don't it? Which bridges us into the next section. David, did you hear about the alleged confession of an FBI affiliate stating that the FBI conspired and had Malcolm X assassinated?
I ain't hear nothing about it. Fill me in.
Damu, would you like to go in?
Pull up that
Yeah, I'm trying to find my phone. So the letter, do you guys want me to read the letter?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll read the letter. So this was organized by Ben Crump, the attorney that everybody knows, like civil rights and everything like that. He held a joint like conference with the officer who just died, and because he died, he had given his cousin a letter that was to be released after he passed. So the letter was read by the cousin to Malcolm X's family, and that happened Saturday. And the letter read this, and it's by a guy named Raymond A. Wood, and he wrote this in 2011, and it was just
Sounds nice.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. All right, and it was just released Saturday. And the letter read, I, Raymond A. Wood, being of sound mind and body, wish to confess the following. I was a Black New York City undercover police officer from April 1964 through May of 1971. I participated in actions that in hindsight were deplorable and detrimental to the advancement of my Black people. My actions on behalf of the New York City Police Department, Bossy, were done under the duress and fear that if I did not follow the orders of my handlers, I could face detrimental consequences. Presently, I am aging with failing health. Recently, I have learned of the death of Mr. Thomas Johnson and are deeply concerned that with my death, his family will not be able to exonerate him after being wrongly convicted in the killing of Malcolm X. The facts are as follows. April 17th, 1964, I was hired by the New York City Police Department. Without training, I was immediately assigned to the Bossy Investigation Unit. My job was to infiltrate civil rights organizations throughout New York City to find evidence of criminal activity so the FBI could discredit and arrest its leaders. After witnessing repeated brutality at the hands of my coworkers, the police, I tried to resign. Instead, I was threatened with arrest by pinning marijuana and alcohol trafficking charges on me if I did not follow through with with the assignments. Under the direction of my handlers, I was told to encourage leaders and members of civil rights groups to commit felonious acts. The Statue of Liberty bombing idea was created by my supervisor/handler. Using surveillance, the agency learned that Bo and Saeed were key players in Malcolm X's crowd control security detail. It was my assignment to draw the two men into a felonious federal crime so that they could be arrested by the FBI and kept away from managing Malcolm X's Audubon Ballroom door security on February 21st, 1965. On February 16th, 1965, the Statue of Liberty plot was carried out and the men were arrested just days before the assassination of Malcolm. At that time, I was not aware that Malcolm X was the target. On February 21st, 1965, I was ordered to be at the Audubon Ballroom, where I was identified by witnesses while leaving the scene. Thomas Johnson was later arrested and wrongly convicted to protect my cover in the secrets of the FBI and the NYPD. I have placed my full confession into the care of my cousin, Reginald Wood Jr. I've requested that this information be held until after I passed away. It is my hope that this information is received with the understanding that I carried these secrets with a heavy heart and remorsefully regret my participation in this matter. Raymond A. Wood.
God
Wow.
damn, dog.
Wow.
Like, it's really hard. It's really difficult to believe that shit is not that, like, it don't seem like it's doctored. It don't seem like that was.
That shit true as fuck.
Yeah. Damn. I mean, just the whole timeline of how he laid everything out, it don't seem staged.
It's looking like they used the NOI because did everybody see the documentary of Who Killed Malcolm X?
Talking about that shit that came out like what, last year? It was on Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I seen it. And as you were reading it, I was kind of like trying to piece it together with
Exactly.
what I was. Yeah.
And if you remember, one of the things they were talking about the FBI was doing was sending different people different things to create more attention within these organizations. So
That's
I
right.
just wonder what was being sent during that time to different people to create different dissensions, because Elijah did say, don't harm Malcolm, but who knows what in the world was going on behind them doors. Because evidently they knew something was going to happen that day. That's why they got the security out the way.
Right.
I don't know, like even when I saw Godfather of Harlem and how it kind of touched on the somewhat tension between Malcolm and the Nation of Islam in there, like you kind of saw it was like heightened emotions, and you even kind of picked that up in the documentary, like matching the stories. You could tell there was some heightened emotion amongst those that were like either coming up under or like right alongside, so to speak, with them brothers. And it's like kind of hard to believe that it wasn't used to an advantage of drawing a wedge between people. You know what I'm saying?
To me, they had to. I mean, it's COINTELPRO. We saw what they were doing to the Black Panthers during that time and the tactics they used with that. We saw what they did to MLK. Who's to say that they wouldn't have done the same thing to the NOI and Malcolm? I mean, that was still J. Edgar Hoover's FBI.
Disgusting ass son of a bitch.
I heard somewhere like he got a little bit of black in him though. Did I hear that?
He hated everything about himself, so that could be true. He probably hated that he had black in him, hated that he was a closet homosexual, hated that he was a white man. Who's to fucking say? He just hated himself, hated that he was a mama's boy, all that shit.
You can see it
And
on
he
his
took it
face.
out on
Like
everyone.
like every time you see his face, it look like he holding in a fart or something.
Right.
Yeah,
Leonardo DiCaprio played the fuck out of him in that movie.
Yeah, he did good with that.
He made me dislike him even more.
That's how you know he did good.
Exactly.
Wow. I wonder what that was like though. You know, at that moment when that letter was read, did the crowd like go into a and all of that theatrical shit? Or was it like,
Yeah, right.
My
you know,
only
like
thing is when, like, I get it. You know, protect yourself and your family, and it just, I don't know, it makes me a little bit sick because now, all this time now, and then you say someone else was arrested to cover up for you, and it's just like, why now? I know why now he died, but that would have been some good information to have way back when. Man, that shit is crazy. I don't even know what to
That's
say.
tough.
That shit crazy.
It's cowardice. So is he admitting to being the ones who have murdered him? That's my question.
He's
Right, and
claiming
that's what I was asking because he said he was in the ballroom. He walked out. He was noticed. Well, what he was noticed while he was leaving, so someone else was arrested. So was he the one that actually pulled the trigger?
there was multiple gunmen. So it's weird because one of the people that got caught and arrested, which he was talking about, Thomas Johnson, didn't he say, like, reveal the names of those brothers that helped him kill Malcolm? And I don't know if he was listed as one of them, which
right?
is
From my
weird.
recollection, it was like 3 of them together, like that were reported anyway. You know, that's what I
Yeah,
recall from the Netflix special.
yeah. So I don't know if he's saying like we orchestrated the whole thing to go down. I don't know if he's saying he was a shooter. He doesn't quite make clear whether they were the gunmen or not the gunmen, but he does make clear that they were orchestrating something to happen that day.
That's crazy. Like years down the line, makes you wonder like what other confession letters can come out. You know what I'm saying? Like, will that police officer that put his knee on George Floyd's neck ever come out and say, you know, I fucked up. I shouldn't have did that. Yeah, I'm still waiting.
No,
I'm
because
still honestly,
Zimmerman ain't said he fucked up. So no, neither
but
did the police
the
in
laws are different, you know. So of course
New York
he ain't gonna say he ain't fucked
or
up.
Kenosha.
Of course, Zimmerman ain't gonna admit to that shit because the laws are different down there. He gonna say I had the right to bear arms, like I had the right to do what I did. That's his end game. He was well within his right.
Yeah, so he thought. So they
I'm still
allow
waiting
him
for
to believe.
I'm still waiting for a Malice Green story to come out.
Exactly. Now that's a movie right there, because that shit sent Detroit all the way up.
I don't know who I'm gonna have to get with, but I might have to just go ahead and get the ball rolling on that one because that shit would be epic.
Holla at Big Sean. He said he's super Detroit.
You know, hard catch up with a nigga like that. He all in Janaiko clean.
Nothing is impossible.
I was just getting ready to say that everybody got a person that worked for them to put them into something. You know, people always be wanting to be a superstar and a movie star. You just got to
Create
make it
one.
seem like it was their
I
idea.
swear.
That's all.
Shoot, I swear when I thought about it yesterday, like I had an epiphany about that whole thing I'm saying right now with Malice. I was like, that's one of the movies where it doesn't even have to be a like well-known actor to play that role. It could be somebody that would develop into a star that can play that role. I swear it all work out so smooth. For real. That'll be an easy
Okay,
cast.
well, we got to get us some capital. That's all.
For sure.
Capital. We should have enough of that already, I would think.
Yo, did y'all talk about
We
female
can
MC?
get it out the streets. Well, does anyone have any last thoughts about today's episode? Damu, since you're our special guest.
I just want to thank y'all for this space and being able to chop it up with y'all a little bit. It's definitely fun, especially the music stuff and ranting about what's going on with our people in terms of what's going on with our kids and education. So I want to thank y'all for the space. It's a really dope space. I'm gonna definitely keep tapping into the show.
Thank you for coming on. I'm the one that had this chat for a while. Sue knows, so it's nice to finally get it going. Have the discussion.
Indeed. Nibor, any last thoughts?
Final thoughts. There's a difference between a rapper and an MC. And do better. Teach your kids more. Don't leave it up to the administration, which we have already decided is fucked and stacked against us completely.
Okay, I
Anyone
guess my
else?
final thoughts. Yep, my final thoughts are this virtual teaching shit is whack. Well, however we're dealing with it, I don't think we're really dealing with it. Fuck COVID-19. We got to pay more attention to our children and be accountable for who we are to them and around them and for them. I support all female MCs. So yay to that because they winning right now. And if they can't rap, then they can get coached and get better. So shout out to City Girls.
That was nice. I like that. I like how you closed that out. Like you can, if you want to be, if they actually want to be better, then yeah, they can be. They just gotta, seek a little help. That's all. Ain't necessarily gotta have somebody write the shit for them, but kind of give them a little umph. You know what I'm saying, to help get them along the way. And that said, my final thought is always shit. Be a better friend to yourself. Adding on to that shit. Educate yourself properly so that you can carry that message on to some other people and they don't be so confused. Give them nice references and sources to cite. You know what I'm saying? Like be on top of your shit and entertain only what makes sense. That's that.
Thank you, everyone.